Howdy. All right. Welcome to another TeleDynes live stream. Gonna keep this one short today, but try to do another little lesson here. So instead of learning a song today, I'm gonna go over some practice tips for picking, as well as some scales, and a couple of rockabilly riffs, some of which I've gone over in some of the videos before, and just kind of break it down a little bit more, exactly what I'm doing. So at first we'll start off with just a practice scale. It's something I always kind of go to when I'm trying to when just warming up, and just to keep the dexterity up, especially if you don't have a lot of time to play and you just got 5-10 minutes or something like that. Pick up the guitar, go over these scales. It helps keeps your fingers limber, helps the picking technique as well. So there's not really much to update this week. I'm working on a couple of new videos here. Like I said, the Gretsch Rancher video, kind of a breakdown on that, which I've been asked about, and just a couple of other I got another guitar lesson tutorial coming up. I think I'm going to do it. It's just been stuck in my head. So the song "This Cat's on a Hot Tin Roof" by the Brian Setzer Orchestra is the next guitar lesson that I'm going to be doing. It's just every time I go to think about what am I going to do for a guitar lesson, and that one always keeps popping in my head. And I've got a bunch to add to that one as well. It's not just playing the song note for note, because with some of those tunes, with all the horns and the extra instruments in the back, you can add other things, especially if you're playing in a a 3-piece or 4-piece or whatever, and you don't have to rely on you can still get that sound and get those riffs that the horns are playing, but you don't need the whole the whole band. Obviously, most of us don't have that kind of dough, I don't think. So that's going to be the next couple of videos going forward, as well as everything else that I'm working on. The beginner guitar tutorials, which I said I'm doing a bunch of them in a row, so it's going to be a while before those show up. But as soon as I'm done and I get like a good 12 or so episodes, videos done, then I'll start releasing them so they're consistent. All right. So for now, the first thing, I'm going to try this other angle here, and do a little close-up shot, because when I was doing the segments from last week, I'm going to try to salvage them, but the audio on the guitar was a little muddy and the vocals were a little muddy. I've tried to clear it up here a little bit today, so hopefully that it's a little bit clearer. I've EQ'd things just a bit. Let me see if it's... Yeah, I just added a little bit of high end to the microphone. It seemed a little bit muddy. It may just be my voice being... usually I end up doing these streams like the next day after a gig and singing and everything, and so my voice is... Ugh. But anyway, let's see if I can get this angle right here. Flip. So I'll go back and forth to explain it a little bit, but we'll start off here. This is the scale. It's just a G major scale, but it's played up here starting on the 10th fret. It's a G. Right? And that's the G major scale, right? So everybody's familiar with this pattern, right? So we're just playing it up here. It's based off of the C shape. You're just moving it all the way up here to the 8th fret, but it's the G chord, right? And usually when we play scales on a guitar, we usually double them. So there's an octave. So it's usually 2 octaves. And the only thing you can do from here is move up. So the practice is the pattern here, the picking pattern, is going to be you play 3 notes up, and then your 4th note is back down to the original note you started. So it sounds like this. Right? And then you go up to the 2nd note in the scale. And since this, after you're done with that pattern, go up to the next note, do it again. 3, and then the 4th note is back to the note you started. Again. Sorry, fake in there. Keep going. And you just keep going. So I'm playing it really slow there to kind of give you the example. So what you want to do, you don't need to play it super fast. You just want to keep consistently playing it all the way up, so you're not stopping in the middle like that. So it would sound something like this. Right? You get the idea. And that just helps keep your, dexterity. And then you can go back down with it. Go all the way down if you want to, or you can just stop right there on the G, however far you want to take it. So that, I'm going to play it again here in the other angle so I can get a little bit closer up so you can see really what I'm doing. Down to the G. So that's one thing you can do. And the other practice scale that I usually go to is just a major scale, but I play it in 3 different ways. So usually A, because it's kind of in the middle of the guitar. So everybody knows that pattern. But there's also this one here. And I play that one because it requires your hand to kind of adjust and move around the fingerboard a little bit because it's stretching between a length of 5 frets. So you have to kind of adjust your hand a little bit. And with this one, this is where the picking comes into it. So here is where we get into alternate picking versus economy picking. And I've talked about this before, but I want to try to break it down a little bit more. So when you're playing alternate picking, you go downstroke, upstroke, whether you're changing a string, changing a note, whatever. It's always that. And that's a great way to keep time. So if you're reading a piece of music or whatever, you always know that pretty much the downstrokes are going to be on the down beats and the upstrokes are going to be on the upbeat. So it's easy to keep time when you start a riff on the downbeat, you know the upbeat's gonna be there. So it helps you keep rhythm. But for soloing purposes, we don't always want to do that, especially with economy picking. It does have a somewhat of a speed limit, I guess you could say. At least I think so. And this is where you get into economy picking. And economy picking is where you're still going back and forth. You're still doing alternate picking. But when you switch strings and you go down a string or up a string, you always go in the direction of that string. So in this case, with the A scale, right, I went down, and the next string over is a B. So instead of going down, up to the next string, you go down, down. And then I'm down here again. So then on the next string, keep going down. There's another downstroke, and we go up to the C sharp on the next string. We still go down. I'm going down again, and we keep going down. So I'll over accentuate those transitions. So we go. You can see where the when you flip from string to string, where you're adding in the economy picking style of playing. The same thing when you go backwards too, right? You know, and as you get used to that, your speed, you'll just notice you'll start going faster. It'll feel a little awkward at first, but once you just keep practicing that, and your speed will definitely be able to increase. You'll find that certain riffs that you're trying to play, especially some of the faster 2-beat country type stuff or some of the jazz riffs, it's just going to be easier to play when you're doing economy picking as opposed to alternate picking. So I'll try to play it over here in the other angle here. Hey, good afternoon, Mo. Thanks for joining. I'll focus more on the pick here. See it. All right. And then you can do the same thing in 2 other major scales. So that's that one. Then you can play this, do the same thing with this one. Everybody knows this one. At least for me, that was one of the first scales I ever learned, besides, of course. Which you can, again, go back to all those scales, the pentatonic, the major, everything you kind of learned when you first started, and try to be aware of your picking and play it economy style instead of alternate style. And it's kind of like it's learning a new technique, and you'll think and it just adds a whole new dimension to the way you play, right? And there's one more major scale. I like to play this one too. Now this is all starting on the 6th string, the low E. So now that just ends on the B string up here on the A on the 10th fret. So and that's the thing about the guitar, is that you can play the same thing in multiple places on the neck, which can be confusing, I guess, if you're coming from another instrument. Because guitar is there's very few instruments that you can do that with. It's mostly string instruments, of course, but guitar is particularly more flexible in that regard. Just like different sounds that you can get, you can play an E up here, or you can play it here, and play it up here, and it all sounds different. I didn't flip pickups or anything. It's just the way you the thickness of the string, the length of the string, the proximity to where you're picking, and of course you can also change pickup sounds or sounds of the guitar where you're picking as well. So if you pick here versus here, it sounds completely different. So you can get that nice blues tone playing up here on the closer to the neck pickup, as opposed to down here. More of like a T-Bone Walker thing. So, I got a question here. Hey, from Darla, I guess. Hi there. I'm very deep into the Mr. Sandman lesson. I wanted to thank you. Your video was only 15 minutes and yet explained it in detail without losing attention. Great watch. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you found it helpful. Yeah, that video took a little bit of time to make. It was a fun video to make though. I'm glad people are liking that video. Yeah. There's one little spot at towards the very end where the tablature is wrong, but I'm playing it correctly. It's just that Finale kind of screwed up my when I punched in the notes. The notes were correct, the tab was wrong, and then there was another spot where the tab was right but the notes were wrong. So, and that's why I flipped to Guitar Pro 8 to make my tablature, because when I would type in the notes and then copy and paste it to the tab, it would be wrong and I'd have to go in and flip something, and then sometimes it would change a note when I changed the tab, and it didn't like to talk to each other. So it became very, very frustrating. It's like you think you made the change and then you go back and it did something, or you accidentally did an undo, and then it would undo something you did way back and whatever. So anyway, Guitar Pro 8 is much better, I think. And then I can also hear it and listen to it and really see it. And the tab and the notation lock together with Guitar Pro 8, unlike Finale. So yeah, the D minor 6 there. Especially. So anyway, but I corrected the tab. So the tab that you get now when you download it is correct. It's the tab in the that visually that's in the video is still incorrect. I can't go back and fix that, unfortunately. All right. No coffee. So, yeah, playing those different spots on the guitar, it changes the sound completely. And then you have the flexibility of flipping pickups, right? All these different sounds. And you don't without having any pedals or extra tone knobs. This guitar is really simple. It's just a volume knob and a pickup selector, and that's it. There's nothing fancy about it. So, and then I like that because I get to focus more on my playing, and I'm focusing on, the sound coming from my fingers, as opposed to worrying about, tone knobs and pedals and all this other stuff. And that I play through the basement amplifier, so it's really simple. Volume, treble, bass, presence, that's it, right? That's all that's there, right? Yep. Volume, treble, and bass, and then a presence knob, which just, presence is kind of like an attack knob. Not a lot of amps have it these days, but that cranking that up, really, it just gives you that extra little punch. Especially when you're picking the strings with your fingers, like... Right, doing stuff like that, it really, really punches through. So, let's see. So I went over that. That's one little practice riff there. Another riff that I did, before I go on to the next thing. Somebody asked a question. I don't know if they're watching or if they will see this, but there was a question of one of the first videos I did, the Rockabilly fingerpicking things, where if I'm hitting a high E. So I guess I'll go over some of the fingerpicking stuff a little bit. And this is just the Rockabilly stuff, so it's not like the Mr. Sandman where you're using the thumb pick or whatever. This is just, you just keep the thumb going on the low E, and it doesn't matter if your thumb kind of grazes over the low A and the low D even, because you're playing a chord anyway. So it doesn't matter. And it's muted, usually. You want to palm mute that. So you're not, it's not ringing out over the vocals or something. Usually you're playing it like that. And also, if you do happen to hit other notes down there, it's not going to ring out like crazy like this. Right? You don't want that. You want to just keep that, the palm right on the, it's like right above the saddle piece or the bridge, just right above it or right on it even. Yeah, right on it. It's right at an angle, like right there. So when I'm doing the finger picking thing, for the A part, I'm just usually bouncing back and forth and playing the top two strings, the E string and the B string. That's a standard little riff that you can do. And then I'll use, for those top strings, I'm just using my ring finger to pick those. And then I'll use my middle finger to do a little, you know, minor third to major third here. And that's usually done on the upbeat, right? So I'll hit the bottom note. So you hit that first. So it's kind of in between. So it sounds like this. It's just that you're not hitting the octave here. You're playing the minor third on the upbeat, and then you're playing you're hammering on to the major third on the downbeat, right at the same time your finger is hitting the low A note, or whatever key you're playing in, but right. And so for that, you want to try playing all the notes at the same time that you're picking with your thumb. Play all the notes when you're picking with your thumb like this. It doesn't sound great, but it's just, it gets you used to playing like this together. Then play the notes opposite each other, so it's upbeat. Even if you're just going down a scale like that. So it gets you used to going back and forth. And then when you do the finger picking patterns, you can get used to mixing them up. Whatever you want to do. And that's really it for, you can add other types of riffs, like doing something like that, like That's Alright Mama. It's just playing off an A, a C shape. Add in little riffs. But when you go to the 4 chord, it's usually a 9 that you're going to be playing a pattern over. And you can, typically you're just going to play the top 5 strings. You're not going to play the low E, right? You're just not. But you can bounce back and forth because it's still the root 5, root 5, root 5, right? Depending on your rhythm, right? And again, same idea. Playing the notes at the same time and then alternating back and forth. So I'm playing, relegating my ring finger to the top 2 strings again. Middle finger is the G string, and then your thumb is the bottom 3 strings. Pretty much with finger picking, that's usually the case. Now, if you're playing with a thumb pick, of course, you have the extra use of your index finger that you're not going to have when you're doing the rockabilly thing. Whether you tuck the pick up or whether you play with a pick like this, either way, you're losing the ability of your index finger. And I've always found it better to tuck the pick up. I just got used to that. And sometimes I'll play if the strings are close together, like doing something like this, one of those type of riffs, I'll use the pick at the same time, depending on what I've got coming after it. Right? Is there enough time for me to flip my pick back down, or do I not have enough time? And if I don't, then I'll just play it like this. And if I do, then I'll flip it back. And it depends on what you're doing. If you're playing the lower strings and you're playing a lot of stuff up on the high end, the high register, when you tuck your pickup, I think I've mentioned this in a video, you have more of a stretch between your thumb and your middle finger to reach around the neck. If you do this, you're somewhat limited, and you only have that much between your index and middle finger. So this is a much bigger reach, obviously. Plus, if you ever want to move into thumb picking with a thumb pick, it's good to get used to using that thumb as opposed to just using your pick as the lower register. So yeah, the typically with finger picking, you have your thumb is your low 3, the bottom 3 strings, the E, A, and the D, and then index is the G, middle is the B, and then your ring finger is the high E. Pretty much every style. I mean, there's variations here and there, but generally speaking, that's for the Chet Atkins style finger picking, or Tommy Emmanuel, they usually do the same type of style. If you play without a thumb pick, like a classical style, that's a whole different thing. I'm not really qualified to talk too much about it. I know a little bit, but not that much. So I'm in the same pedal situation where less is more, tweed, delay, that's about it. However, is there a way you cut more during solos? Oh, like a boost? I don't. I mean, I usually, ever since I started playing the Gretches, and especially with the Fender Bassmans, I've never really had a problem having solos cut through the band, because it's always the cymbals. The cymbals are the thing that's going to really drown you out faster than anything, and sometimes the snare. The best way to do it is you can get a boost. The Mystery Brain has a boost on it. It's called ABBY, I think. I don't know what that stands for, but you hit that and it boosts the signal up a little bit. It's a little, it's definitely edgy. It sounds really cool, but it can be fairly loud. What I end up doing is when I do a sound check, I will play a solo with the drummer, and I'll get my guitar set to roughly where the solo's just a little bit above the cymbals and the snare. And as we're playing, as you start to play and people dig in a little bit more throughout the night, your things are going to change a little bit. So you always want to get the guitar solo sound just a little bit above the cymbals. And then for the rest of it, for your rhythm, just control the dynamics with your playing. You can palm mute, like if you're playing a rhythm, instead of, you can, right? So it's palm muted all the way through the song. And then you have dynamic range to, if the singer's takes a pause or in between verses or something like that, you can bring the rhythm guitar out a little bit. Another thing you can do to control dynamics is playing comping, almost like a piano is playing chords. So instead of just playing with a pick, again, I tuck my pick up, pick the notes. Of course, you can pick them with your pick like that too. So. Whatever the rhythm of the song is. And that creates a lot of space. And that opens up the sound quite a bit. And then if you really get, if it's really still too loud, which I've run into on occasion, you play with a different drummer that you're not used to that doesn't play as loud, right? And you can, of course, turn your amp down. But when you do that, you lose your saturation, you lose your touch sensitivity. So if you don't happen to have a baffle or whatever, just remember, you've always got a volume knob on your guitar, so you can turn that down just a little bit, and then you can mellows the tone out. Do volume swells and all sorts of nice things. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten, sometimes when I do that too. I get the stage jitters, and if I'm playing a big show or something, I haven't done that in a while, especially if it's how it's presented. You get the band, you're opening up for a band or whatever, and now the TeleDynes or whatever, and you have to do the walk on stage and grab your instrument or walk on with your instruments and plug in, and then you have to go, and the lights are on you and the huge audience out there. I've done that, when I do shows like that. I haven't done one in a while, but when I do shows like that, it can tend to be a little bit nerve wracking, and my thumb will cramp up, and sometimes my this finger will cramp up, the index finger on the fretting hand, and and it just, so my advice with that, drink water. Seriously, it's I found that, yeah, just drink water. Or for me, I found the other day, I had it happen the other day where I was playing just a regular fill-in gig, and I thought I was hydrated, everything was fine, but things started cramping up a little bit, and I drank one of those, not that I know it's not the best thing in the world for you, but those Powerade Zeros, and that just hydrated me right up, and I got through the gig. So, hey, Richard, good to see you. So another riff that I did for one of the videos, and it's always one of my favorites to play during there. Oh, you sweat? Yeah, too much water. Yeah, yeah, that's true. You it is a delicate balance. A lot of people, I mean, I keep a little towel over by your amplifier or whatever, and that I should do that, and I don't do that. I forget to do that, especially in the summertime. So this next one is this riff here. I've always liked playing it. I have the volume up there. And it's something, and you want to do that over the 4 chord. So it doesn't matter what key you're in, obviously. If you're in D, you can, or C, whatever. And it's just a pentatonic shape. You're just sliding up chromatically. Like a major 6 to a D9, or a 2, big 2, sliding up to a D9 here. Down to the A. But we're over the 4 chord, right? And you're not just doing, you're not bouncing back and forth, you're going sliding up, the double stop, right? So it's the B and the G strings. To the A, the root, right? Oh, not the root on this chord, but yeah, the root of the key. And then you don't go back to the the 5th fret here if you're over A, just to get the pattern in your head. You go back to the 2. To the 4th fret. So you're sliding up chromatically, then here, and you go up to the D. But you're pulling off sorry. I play it in a certain pattern. I'm trying to play it different so you can see it. So that's how I usually will. I'll start here with the index finger, slide up. You could slide up with your middle finger if that works better for you. And hit the A with my little finger. That way, all 4 fingers are in place for the riff. So you can. And it sounds cool when you're playing, like get up to speed and you're playing a swing rhythm, right? Right? And so that's kind of the way that riff is played. It's always one of my favorites. It just sounds, I don't know, it just sounds cool. So you're going down A, back to the 4th fret, up on the 7th fret with your little finger, pulling off to the 5th fret again, back to the A, back to the 4th fret, right back up to the 7th fret. So that one slide part at the very beginning, you only do that once, right when you're starting the riff. And you hear that in a bunch of sets or stuff and whatnot, and other rockabilly riffs as players as well, I'm sure, have done that. But that's always a fun one. Let me see if I can. I'll play it a little. I got this other angle set up. I can try to. And again, for the finger picking part, Take 2 drum cover says, "Sweet Gretsch." Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, for that riff, I'm just using my middle finger, ring finger, and thumb. That's it. There's nothing crazy about that. Let me flip the angle here real quick. Right, and here's this hand. Can't really see it, but back up a little bit. there you go. So yeah, what I'm planning on doing is making little segments out of these videos. So you'll be able to go back instead of having to go find it in the live stream. When you go back, if you want to, you can. You can look under the live tab and you can see everything that I've done live wise. But it's very unclear of what you know where things are. And instead of sifting through an hour and change of nonsense, you can get right to those segments. So that's what I'm doing right now to just keep videos consistent and up with the channel right now, because I'm been crazy busy with normal life stuff and work, and I haven't been able to do too much in the realm of proper lesson videos with a tab and all of that stuff. So, but there's more coming for sure. Um, but this is just an added thing, at least for now. So here's another rockabilly riff that you hear all the time. And I'll do it in A just because it's easier to see. And it's this. Right? You hear that everywhere. And there's a little trick to playing that. Sometimes you want to, if you're playing a tune that's really fast, like right? So it's hard to get that when you're just going. So a trick is just to slide up. And so those first few notes are just slide, one pick, slide, hammer on. So then you're just going down. And you want to pick up with that too. So that way your next pick is down, but there's a little bit of space in there. So you can, and you don't have to slide very far. You can just slide just one up here. Just from the D to the C, right? Up there. And you can do that whatever. You're doing it in D. Whatever, go into something else. And that just helps you build up the speed with it. And you can play it slow too, so you can whatever you want to do. Best TV Jones pickups. These? I don't know. I love TV Jones pickups for the Gretches. I don't really have that much experience with them other than what I've played in these guitars. This one is TV Jones. I think this is the Phoenix. The orange one is not. That is the older style pickups, which is pretty good too. They have a little more twang to it. Doesn't have as high an output. But yeah, these are the Setzer signature pickups, and I don't know what these are. It just says patent pending on the on the pickup. So, because I bought this one right when it came out, like a year or so after it came out, and they hadn't really done anything. So this now they have the Setzer signature pickups in them, I believe, for the Phoenix. The classic or Setzer. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's what I like. I haven't tried I'm sure their Fender, like their Tele pickups and their what's that? The P90s. If you like P90s. I've never played them, never even seen a guitar, Gretsch TV Jones P90 in person. But yeah, I don't really have a lot in the way of music stores up here to try different things, unfortunately. There's a few, but most of it's either it's either vintage places or Guitar Center or something like that, and then it's just, standard factory stuff. And they don't have the high-end Gretches anyway, so it's always the Electromatic or Synchromatic, whatever versions, which can be fine. You put the new TV Jones pickups in those things. I mean, yeah, there you go. You're all set. Oh, thank you, John. Love your channel, and yes, the revitalized my Gretsch. Keep it up. Thank you. Well, glad to hear that. Yeah, they definitely add the punch, I think. Just looking at the other angle there. Yeah, so let's see, what other riffs can I go over here today? Some typical rockabilly type riffs. Oh. Something really simple, but I feel it gets kind of overlooked, is just rhythm. Playing just that rock and roll, however you want to play it. And it's the swinging rhythm that I think gets overlooked a little bit. So a lot of people are used to playing straight rock, right? Right? But when you're swinging, you want to go up and down. Now you can still go up and down, down, up, down, up. You can still go, you know, go back and forth with straight rock. But it does create a different feel. You can hear the difference. Just the accents are in different places. So you can, depending on the tempo, if it's really fast, if it's a really fast, you know, fast 2-beat or something, or a fast, you know, punk rock type thing, that's hard to keep up after a while. So you might want to, you know, go back and forth. Almost like a Jerry Lee Lewis kind of thing, right? Whatever. But when you're swinging, you want to keep the, unless you're going for an effect or something, I always want to, again, back to the palm muting. Down, up, when you're swinging, and it's palm muting. But when you go down, come back up, you want to let the pick kind of glide over the bottom strings. Hear that? Almost like a rake. And then as you palm mute it, the rake gets less apparent. But it adds that kind of hesitation to the swing, so it's not as stiff. Instead of that, it's kind of lazy feeling, and it allows the swing to kind of play behind the beat a little bit, which you want, because you got to be careful, because it's very easy, especially with medium to faster tempo swing tunes, that bands tend to take off, especially on the solos, right? So it's very behind the beat. So there are two types of swing rhythms. There is, in music notation, there is your dotted 8/16, and then there is your quarter note triplet, eighth note triplet, right? So with those two, I prefer the swing feel is the triplet figure, and the other one is a little bit more staccato, I guess you could say. It's not, but it's a little bit stiffer sounding. It's almost like this. It's almost like playing all of the swing as downstrokes, as opposed to, see, See how everything's a little bit more evened out. So that going up and down with it and raking the pick over, it's just a subtle thing, but I feel that adds a little bit more of a swing feel to it, and it's not as stiff. Now, if you're playing a slower thing, like a slow blues, like if you're playing something like that, then you might want to go all downstrokes. It all depends on the feel, and depending on what the drummer's playing, what the tempo is, and you just kind of you do have to feel it to a certain degree. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just it's just if you're feeling like, oh, this feels a little stiff, or I just want it to swing a little bit more, try flipping the rhythms around and your hand technique. The time it takes for your hand to go down up versus all downstrokes is totally different. So it's going to change the feel and everything. And especially when it comes to playing individual notes, like you're doing a walking bass line, right? You definitely want to, I mean, unless you're playing something really slow, obviously with straight rock, you can do that. I like to go down, up, down, up. It's less fatiguing on the wrist too, when you're going back and forth, as opposed to going all downstrokes. But when you're swinging, for sure. Right? And I'm trying to think if there's some other. I mean, you can mess around with different types of rhythms. You can. I've seen that written a couple of times where you're like bouncing back and forth between the E and the the B, or the 1 and the 5. Never really seen anybody do that though. So I like just playing it like that, or bouncing back and forth between the root and the 6 there. Like Baby Blue Eyes, right? Right? Then it's just a cool rockabilly tone, right? And it changes the rhythm up just a little bit to make it sound different. So it's not just the boogie woogie bass line, right? All the time. And you've got your 2-5-1s. So when you come around here, let's say we're in A. Again, because it's visually easy to see. How often do I use the Bixby? At the end of every song. It varies. It's indiscriminate. I don't really know. It's I'll sometimes use it on a single note. Usually when I bend a string, I won't use it there. I like to use it on these certain types of licks and riffs, like hey, some guy just tuning in. How y'all doing? Doing pretty good. Just hanging out, doing some guitar stuff. Yeah, when you do the rock and roll thing, that to me, that's the quintessential like 50s rockabilly sound, right? Or Bebop Alula has a great in the second part of the solo where it does it. Right? What was the one before Bebopalula? What, this? That was Flying Saucer Rock and Roll, I think. Sorta, kinda. I never really learned how to play it properly. And yeah, definitely any full chords like that. And of course, you know, when you're bending, it's not like a Floyd Rose or a Fender tremolo where they're designed to do dive bombs and stuff like that. They're just designed as a waiver, right? Because these guitars were designed to play country music, country and western music, and they had the you know the lap steels and the slide guitars and stuff like that. So it kind of emulates that sound just a little bit. And there's a little tricks you can do. And when you bend it, you know, the strings are going down, bending down at different angles. It doesn't really matter. Right? You can do this little trick. It's just a effect, really. Where you're just playing over the chord, bending, picking, you're bending down first and then picking up. Just a silly effect, but you have an Epiphone, but getting a lot better on guitar. Should I upgrade the guitar? Up to you, really. I mean, I never had an Epiphone. I had a no, I did. Did I have one? Or no, I had a Epiphone bass, but I always wanted to get one of the casinos, but I never did. Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, Epiphones are nice if they have a Bigsby on them. I mean, it's really just kind of whatever you want to play. Gretches are somewhat reasonable. Like you can get the Gretsch, like the Electromatic ones, for a decent price. Not too much more than an Epiphone, but yeah, Epiphones are great. Yeah. Yep, you're right. You're right. One of your distant cousins was a rockabilly artist. Cool. Yeah, just keep practicing. That's the key. Absolutely. So yeah, Bigsby, I use them, you know, whatever. Let's see, do I use them in any kind of like country style? Like you can do little country riffs like that and add a little effect in it. It's like a kind of like a slide guitar. Oh, when I play this chord, this is a 9 chord. You just don't, there's no fifth. So it's G on the top, 15th fret, 12th fret, 14th fret G string, G, B, A, F on the D. Right? Like that. And that is a great chord, especially up here. You can do it anywhere. It's a little bit more of a stretch down here. But that's a great sounding chord to get the Bigsby going. Right? So that's fun. I love playing with a Bigsby. I haven't played a guitar without a Bigsby in years. No, even my Tele has a Bigsby. I was gonna say the Tele, but no, it's got a Bigsby too. Yeah, get a real ES295. Yeah, likewise. So would I. I'd get that. I'd get a Super 400. I'd get a I don't know what else. Probably a Duo Jet, Gretsch. Definitely that Super 400. But anyway, yeah. So with the rhythm stuff again, right? So you're doing the, which is the same as, this is just the pattern to play it anywhere. And you go to the 4, play it the same way. But then when you go to the 5, if you have a 2-5-1 turn, or if you have a 2-5 turnaround, so usually a 2-5 turnaround would be, right? Or you could do a big 2. Or you could do, or if it's a 6-2-5 or whatever the case may be, right? So that would be, but when you're doing the 2-5, you can walk up, instead of doing breaking, you're doing this, and then break and do the chords. You can just keep playing and walk the bass line. The same, basically, you're just playing what the bass player is going to be doing. Right? So you're just going, there's your 2. Walking up the scale. Chromatically. You can always do that. And you're walking right up to the 5 and then back down the scale. And even though you're on the 5 there, you're going to walk back down. You're on the 5 chord. You're not going to play an E major scale chord. So you're not going to play the D sharp there. You're still going to you're going to play the A scale. So even though you're playing a chord that's, unless the chord is not in the scale, like it's not diatonic, it's not in, it's a alteration of what would be in the scale, like playing a big 2, which means you're playing a major or a 7th version of that chord, where diatonically it should be a minor, but you're playing a major, which is the reason why you can get away with the chromatic, because you're walking up and you hit that minor 3rd, which is correct within the scale, but you're walking right over it. You're passing over. You're treating it as a passing tone. And then you just go, and then you're going up right up to the major 3rd, which is already there. Right up to the 5. Yeah. Chromatic down, you don't, yeah, you can go chromatic down, but typically with this, you're going back down. Once you hit the 5, timing-wise, to get back down to the 1, you're just playing the major scale back down. Mixolydian scale. It's just a major scale starting on the 5. A major starting on the 5. So the first, a lot of it is just the timing. Like, you want to make sure you're going to hit the 1 at the same time on the 1 on the beat. So however many spaces, I always start with the major scale and then see what happens from there. Looking for an excuse to get the Gretsch out? Oh, you're welcome. It's a day that ends in Y, so I think that that qualifies as an excuse for me. So, do I have 11s? No, I have 10s. I've tried 11s, but they're just too much. With the Bigsby, it adds a little bit more tension. You can do 11s. It's fine if you like them, if you're used to that, and that's what, if you have a lot of you play hard, you might want to play 11s. It'll give you a little bit less, more tension. I find that with the Bigsby, it gives me more tension than uh than playing with a Gibson. When I play a Gibson with 10s, I put 11s when I had my Gibson because it's just like butter. It would just go woof, bend like two whole frets up when I played that thing. So, but when I got the Gretsch, I initially did put 11s on it, and then I went, this is just too stiff. So I went to 10s. Now, one thing that can help too is if your frets are really low, over time your frets will get wear, and then you'll have to get a fret dress, which is, you know, leveling the frets out. And you can do that about twice before you'll need a refret, roughly. And then you're going to have to get a refret. So there's no time. It depends on how much you play the guitar. Usually, if you play it a lot, like you're playing a gig a week or a couple gigs a week, it takes about 5 years or so before you're going to need that refret. Um, that's a rough thing. That's how long it took for me to get there. And the refret on the orange one has been done once. I haven't had a refret done on anything else, but I have done a fret dress on everything. And the orange one is it's done two. I've already had a refret. I've done two more fret dresses on it. It's about ready to do another refret if I keep playing it, but I haven't been playing it for that reason, to kind of like extend the lifespan of it a little bit more before I have to do that, because they're not it's not cheap. So, and I can't do it myself. I don't have the neck jig and everything to properly do a refret. So I oh, good afternoon, Steve. Stephen. Um so anyway, that the 11s can help with that. It can absolutely help with the with combating that, because it feels like you're almost playing nothing, like the strings are barely even there when the frets are really low. So jumping up to a higher gauge string can help that a little bit, but it's going to wear the frets down faster too. So keep that in mind. When did I commit to learning rockabilly guitar compared to other genres? When was that? Like 2001, 2, something like that. 2000, something like it's somewhere around there. I was How old was I? Like 17, 18, something like that. And yeah, I had how I got into it was basically I was into the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and like everybody else. And then I wanted to just get better at the guitar. Got all the basic guitar. I learned from guitar videos and taking some lessons. And after I kind of like blasted through the Beatles catalog and did, most of the Zeppelin catalog with, I didn't learn all the solos or anything like that, but I learned enough. And then I didn't really care for where the guitar went from there, where it started going into more metal and um, the hairband stuff. So I didn't really want to get into that. And I went to look, of course, there was no YouTube or anything like that back then. So if you wanted to learn something, you either went and did a lesson, or you found videotapes, VHS tapes. So I went to the guitar store. I was like, I just want to go learn the blues or something else to learn soloing a little bit more. And I went and looked for some VHS tapes, and I found the Brian Setzer Hot Licks video. And if you've seen that, you know what I'm talking about. But the Hot Licks series in general is great. Actually, I guess the guy that did a lot of those is not too far from where I am right now. But anyway, I said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this guy. I know what I've heard of this." A friend of mine at the time was had turned me on to the Stray Cats, and I was already aware of it. I'd listened to 50s rock and roll since I was a kid anyway. I'd listen to the oldies radio station, so I was always familiar with it. And then I heard Paul McCartney do that Run Double Run, being a Beatles fan, and then I said, "Oh, that's cool." Hearing David Gilmour doing all the solos on the telly and whatnot, and then I heard the Stray Cats, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." So this is '80s, and then the Setzer Orchestra was out at the time, was big. Their Dirty Boogie album came out, and so I listened to all of that, and I found the video and started. I had just a Strat. No, I had a Gibson. I had a 335. It was I don't know what the exact model was, but it was the BB King Lucille uh, Gibson guitar. Great guitar, played great and everything, and it was a it was a it was a great guitar. I did love it, but I ended up selling it. Wish I wouldn't have now, but I needed the money at the time, and ended up getting a Tennessean, like a vintage Tennessean, and then eventually sold that and got these over time or whatever. That's my like background in it. And then I saw Setzer live, and when I saw the orchestra live, and I saw other rockabilly bands, local bands opening up for him too, I'm like, wow, this is like a whole thing. This is like I got introduced to the scene and the genre, and I was already familiar with Carl Perkins and Elvis and all of the classics, but it was the newer stuff that I wasn't familiar with. So I just started woodshedding it. I just started grabbing as many books as I can, which there wasn't many. There was a few. I had maybe two or three books on rockabilly, and I would just go through it as best I could and hear a song and try to learn it. And now there's so much more. There's a lot more resources. And I started to try to form my own band when I was younger, like 17, 18, and that didn't really go so well. It couldn't really find a bass player. Couldn't I ended up playing bass for some of it, and that was another thing too. Trying to form my own band, it was hard to get four people together. It was easy to get three people together, and rockabilly suited a three-piece band. It's like, well, we can do this stuff, and I like this stuff. The other guys didn't really care about it so much, but we played a little of it, and then I ended up saying, I just want to join a band. So I looked for an ad in the newspaper. Yeah, that's how you joined bands back then. You just looked in the newspaper and found an ad for, hey, there's this um, band that's looking for a guitar player, and I didn't know who they were, and it turned out it was the band that I went to see Big Bad Voodoo Daddy at House of Blues, and there was this rockabilly band that opened for them, and I remembered them. Um, And when I to audition, I was like, "Oh my god, it's these guys! It's the band! Oh, I hope I can get in this." And I did. I did get in the band and started playing with them for a few years, and then eventually started forming my own and whatever. Life changed. I eventually moved up here, and now the TeleDynes have been around since 2015. We started that, but that's my like the long and short of it, I guess. What else? Missed a couple of things here. That is a classic video. Spent months rewinding and playing the Setzer licks. Yeah, that that video is great. It's got the tablature now. You can still get it. You can get the DVD version now, and I know they have it on YouTube and whatnot. But Albert Lee and Ray Flack, those names. I know those names. Someone selling a Lucille 84. That's cool. And mine was like the semi hollow one. It didn't have the F holes. It was just it had the stereo plug and the 6-way tone switch and everything. Very a lot of and the fine tuners like a violin. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Um, yeah, then I got my pot of pomade and never looked back. Exactly. I literally did that. I went to see the Setzer Orchestra without my hair was down. I remember I was dressed in black slacks and a white t-shirt and a black vest, and I looked like a beetle from the cavern days, or like right at the early, you know, please please me era. And I had a bowl beetle haircut, and I saw the Setzer Orchestra, and the next day I slicked my hair back. um, when you are playing a scale chord shape, do you actively know you're playing a major or minor scale, or you just use your ear? I actively know what I'm doing. There's a couple of different things. You can use your ear, and you can use your you know, your knowledge of what you know. And then there's also patterns as well, and muscle memory. So there's all of these things going on. So sometimes um you're just thinking, you're actually actively thinking, oh, I got to play, these are the chords that are coming up. I can play these notes and this scale. Sometimes you're just I use my ear to a certain degree, like especially when I'm playing like passing tones and that sort of stuff. And when I'm playing, sometimes I'll memorize a solo, so that'll be just muscle memory, and then I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just I'm just going through the motions and playing the pattern if I've memorized the solo or something like that. But if I'm improvising, yeah, I'll pretty much I'll be thinking about notes and knowing like, oh, there's a 2-5-1 coming up, so I know I can do this type of riff, and I know that I can play the minor third there coming up, right? And between that and the combination of patterns, you use it all. There's no one way to go. It's just use all of the tools at your disposal. Albert Lee Skaggs. Ricky Skaggs? Is that the name? I think he's in that Highway 40 Blues. Hmm. Yeah, that's the country stuff. I've gotten a little bit into like the chicken picking stuff, but I'm not a chicken picker like Johnny Highland or something. He's got some great videos too on like True Fire, and there's some stuff on YouTube as well. So let's see, what else did I have in mind here? We went over that. Yeah, so if I'm playing you're asking about playing those guitar. You were at the cabin a couple weeks ago. Cool. I've never been across the pond, so but maybe one day. So there's this tune we do called Symphonia B, and it's got a bunch of the it the verse chord progression is nothing special. It's just a 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, and then it does like a little 2-5-1, right? You can throw in that little diminished when you're doing a 6-2-5-1. You can always substitute the 6 for like a raised diminished. And so that's the main verse of it. Then it goes into the bridge, and the bridge is this descending line. So it goes F minor 7, E augmented, back to an A, A6, whatever, E diminished, then back to the F minor 7, then a dominant 2, and then back to the 5, and then it's back to the 1 again. So when you're playing over chords like that, and you're soloing over the progression, you can go, you're kind of following. Right, and then you go to an A, up is diminished, right? And so you know the chords that are coming up, and you kind of roughly know, your major third, your root third and fifth, your extensions, your scale. So you're just thinking of in terms of the basic points, your anchor points, which I think of as the root third and the fifth, and then you have your extension, your sixth, your nine, your seventh, your minor, your flat seven, your minor thirds, and then you have your scale patterns that you can kind of play off of as well to lead you from one chord to the other. And you also want to, and that stuff just kind of becomes second nature, and then you're thinking of the rhythms and how you want to play. And then if you want to sometimes be a little bit more sparse with your playing, I just heard something the other day, or today actually. I guess it was something Miles Davis said. I don't know if that's true or not, but where he said, think about what you want to play and then play in between, play the spaces in between. So you're hearing like, da 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 ba da ba, ba da ba da da, and then you're playing in between that, and that creates a way to play almost not really a call and response, but it's sort of in between the cracks of the rhythm, I guess. And that creates a little bit more space if it is becoming too many notes and it's too dense. Just to change it up a little bit. What were some of the first rockabilly songs I learned in full? It was very first one was 20 Flight Rock. I think most people would get into rockabilly. And again, the first time I heard that tune was Paul McCartney doing it. And then I said Eddie Cochran. Oh, yeah, Summertime Blues, of course. And then I heard, I forget who else I heard doing it. There's really not, even though everybody has done that song, there really isn't other than the original, there's not really a great, in my opinion, like a great definitive version of that. I guess you go back to the original Eddie Cochran, but there hasn't really been like a modern rockabilly version of it done really well. It's either been like the Stray Cats never covered it, at least not recording wise. They've done it live, but they've never recorded it. And I've heard Setzer do it live, but again, never recorded. And I guess there's no real reason to, but there's like 80s bands doing it where it's that 80s rockabilly sound where everything sounds like electric bass, and it's not the Stray Cats 80s sound, but some of the electric bass driven rockabilly bands where they kind of try to slap the electric bass or the uprights so dull you can't even hear the clicks. Overproduced dead drums and whatever. But yeah, 20 Flight Rock, that's usually the go-to song for everybody, and I'd recommend it because it's a easy 1-4-5 tune. It's got a cool riff in it, and it's useful to know it anyway too, because once you get used to playing and you go out and you start playing, which is the first thing I did, was go to blues jams and rock and roll jams or whatever you've got in your area, and just sit in for a couple of tunes. And if you sing, great. If not, just play along. Just play along to the, whatever. That's what I did, and everybody knows 20 Flight Rock. Also, Matchbox, which I had learned because of the Beatles, but I didn't realize. I realized later it's Carl Perkins. And then, of course, Blue Suede Shoes. I guess that's rockabilly. I learned the Carl Perkins Elvis version. Honey Don't, again, Beatles, but rockabilly, but Carl Perkins original. Right. And Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Right? Kansas City. Johnny Be Good. All the classics, right? You got to learn at least one Chuck Berry tune. Doesn't matter what it is, but something. Yeah, you can learn. Right? And of course, Johnny Be Good. You can bend that if you want. Or Carol, which is another, which is like Johnny Be Good, but it's the same kind of thing. Right. Oh yeah? Chuck Berry's autobiography? That's cool. I'll have to, I'll, that would be cool. I never even thought, I never even thought about doing that. Because I've been thinking about doing some videos. I'm working on this history of series for the channel for gear and whatnot. But I've thought about eventually turning, going into, the artists themselves. Because you're going to run out of gear at some point. There's only so much history you can do on the same type of amplifiers with very little variation, right? Um, let's see what other songs I could recommend. Yeah, songs I recommend learning for sure. Definitely the Chuck Berry stuff. Maybelline, just even if you don't learn the whole tune. I mean, once you learn like a few styles, you're going to learn 1-4-5 chord progressions. You're going to learn the 2-5-1 turnaround, which basically is a 1-4-5, but with the turnaround's just different. And then you got 6-2-5, so you're just adding one extra chord. Sometimes, and then when you get into 3-2-5 or 3-6-5 or whatever, then you're getting a little bit more into jazz. So it stops becoming rockabilly, rock and roll, I guess technically at that point. But it's always good to learn that stuff. Um, but yeah, just even if you learn the riffs, then you have the different feels of rockabilly. Like you've got your swing, your shuffle type things. And you've got your straight rock and roll, your Jerry Lee Lewis kind of thing, right? And that is usually going to be just a 1-4-5. And then you get your Chuck Berry, which has a lot of country influence in it as well, right? Like Maybelline. I mean, it's essentially a country tune, right? Um, yeah, learning that stuff is just a great way to expand your repertoire, as well as just your playing techniques. You think like, oh yeah, whatever about that tune, but if you just go back and like learn some of these tunes, you'll see how it's played, and you'll go, oh, I didn't even think to do something like that, and it'll just help you out. um yeah, Maybelline's a great one to learn, even if you just learn that part. Wild Bill and the Bruisers. Bill plays upright bass over his head. I don't know. Maybe. I'm really bad with names and stuff like that. If I see it, I could say yes. But is that on YouTube, or is that like an older? Is that the YouTube guy, or they did a? I'm not sure. I might know it. Um, let's see. Yeah, yeah. 20 Flight I learned in full. That's a good one. Rock Around the Clock. I mean, they're all the same chord progressions, all 1-4-5 mostly. Sometimes it'll be like if you take a song like Slow Down, not the Beatles, not the Larry Williams. Not that one. The other one. That thing. Am I a fan of the Rev? Of course, absolutely. I've seen him many times. Um, I saw him. My favorite time was seeing him at a casino next to me called Mohegan Sun, and they play at this venue called the Wolf Den, which is really cool. It's open, It's free. Anybody can go in there and see it. You can see from the outside if you don't get a seat, but if you get in line early enough to see the band, you can just walk right in, sit down, and I got pretty close to seeing him. And it's not quite in the round. It's kind of uh half moon or half round stage or whatever. And that's when their album, that Laughing and Crying album, where it came out, where it was more country oriented. And they, of course, they did all their classic, Bales of Cocaine and 400 Bucks and Galaxy 500 and all that stuff. So they did that plus uh, the new stuff too, which I thought was really cool. And he was just here recently, I think. Oh, Rock Around the Clock, yeah. I haven't really learned it 100%. I kind of approximate it, when I play it. Because, again, 20 Flight Rock, I go. Right, I go. And a lot of people do this, right, though. And they'll go around, they'll do that same type of solo. They'll do the. Something like that. um, oh, the Cats did a 25 on original Cool LP. That their solos were out of control. Oh, cool. Maybe I haven't heard that one then. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I remember going and trying to when I first got into it and just try to find all the sets or CDs that I could, and there was a lot of just third-party Rhino record type releases where it was just a compilation. That wasn't an official, Capitol Records release or anything. It was just this compilation, and some of the stuff even had misspellings on it, like Ruanaway Boys instead of Runaway Boys. I was, and but so finding that stuff, and then for a while there, a lot of it wasn't on Spotify or wasn't even available unless I went to a record shop and find vinyl or something like that. But I'll definitely check that out. Original cool. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. Live right next to Mohegan. That's cool. I saw Setzer and the Riot recently and met the Rev at another show. Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I saw I'm over in Rhode Island, so I I saw the Rev in Providence, and I saw him at Mohegan. I saw Setzer Orchestra at where was it? At Foxwoods, the other casino. But I don't go that often to the casinos unless there's a show or something like that. I I'll go, but I'll go to Mohegan because they have the Krispy Kreme over there. um, oh, really? Going to be going to 4 of the shows in the general area. Nice. So he must be touring around. I'll have to check out and see. I follow him on Spotify, so I see where when the shows are coming up, or bands in town, or one of those things. Yes, Eddie Cochran did do 2 versions of 20 Flight Rock. I remember looking that up. Yeah, one was in A, one was in G, and the G was the second one, and that had like the doo-wop backup vocals and stuff in it. Yeah, I was aware of that one, but I just kind of I don't like to talk about that one. It's okay. It's okay. It's a little cheesier, but it's okay. But I definitely prefer an A as opposed to the G solo. I don't know why they dropped it. Probably because of the backup vocals, I'm guessing. Yeah, I didn't. I'll have to look at the original cool one. Yeah, I've just always heard it every time I hear it live. Everybody does this. A lot of people end up doing the same type of solo. Even when I've heard Setzer do it, he does that. And then sometimes they'll go do one of those little tricks. Whatever. Because it kind of starts out like that, right? Something like that, the original. And I did a video on it, but I don't remember what it was. Most of the time, I learned these solos for the video, and then I unless I play it live consistently, I forget it. Like the Rockabilly Boogie, the Johnny Burnett Trio tune. I don't remember how to play any of that. I do play Mr. Sandman still, and I play when I do Bebop-A-Lula, I'll just play it as an instant. It's a little bit high singing, at least for me, especially if I've got a bunch of other tunes. I can do it, but it's a bit of a stretch. And I've got other tunes that are in that same range, and I'd rather save my voice for those than just Bebop-A-Lula. So I'll just do like the instrumental type thing, you know. You know, that kind of thing. Right. And the only reason why I do that is an excuse to play the Cliff Gallup solos because they sound great. And we play live in the band. The drummer plays the brushes, got the upright bass. The only thing I don't have is the acoustic guitar, you know, player chugging along in the back. Yeah, I guess I don't know why I didn't know about all those others. I mean, I knew about the two Eddie Cochran versions. I don't know why I didn't know about the original Cool, because I know there was a couple of other 20 Flight Rock versions. There was like Paul McCartney did one, obviously live, and then there was a movie called Backbeat, which was a history of like the Cavern days of the not the Cavern days, the Hamburg early touring, the when they were when Stuart Sutcliffe was in the Beatles and the Long John and the Silver Beatles stuff. That was there's like a movie track version of 20 Flight Rock on there, and I remember listening to that kind of when they were doing the Tony Sheridan My Bonnie stuff, and they did the A Cry for a Shadow, that which we do that live too, so that's always fun. Who are some non-rockabilly players that influenced your playing either directly or indirectly? Um, eh, you know, the classic guys: Jimmy Page, Tommy Emmanuel, somebody more current. Um, and trying to think of who else. Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course. And of course, I've always been a big fan of Charlie Christian too, but I've never, and Danny Gatliff. That's kind of rockabilly, you know. Yeah, Charlie Christian, early stuff. Really fast. Wonder where the really fast picking came from. Huh? Who knows? I'm not sure. Charlie Parker, isn't that the sax player, or is that am I mistaken? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just over time, you know, people, the jazz players, Django Reinhardt, all that sort of stuff. Those are Charlie Christian and Django Reinhardt would be like indirectly, for sure. Who's the the chicken picking guy, not Ricky Skaggs. Earl Scruggs, that's a banjo player. Um, yeah, basically that kind of stuff. Any roots guitar player um, that's from the blues to rock and roll, rockabilly. I would, yeah, definitely Tommy Emmanuel as a more modern player, and Chet Atkins and stuff like that too. So. And then other local bands too, you know, like I can't even. I don't. I wish I knew the names of these guys, but I don't. I know the name of the band. There was a band called the Dave Stevens Swing Orchestra back in like '98 or whatever, and um, they did some originals, but they also did a lot of covers, a lot of Louis Jordan type stuff. Um, B.B. King, George Harrison, those are the other names that come to mind, of course. Um, the Yeah, the guitar player he played. I want to say it was a 295 or 335 or something like that. Gibson, and he had a more of a jazz tone. Um, and it just had a great. He had some great little solos and great little riffs, and I remember listening to it and really enjoying that. And just don't know his name, have no idea where they were from or what, but Vinceville. Vinceville, I know the name. Again, I really bad with this stuff. I'm gonna looking it up. Hmm, Not sure. Not coming up. He keeps wanting to redirect me to Vince Gill. What's the regulation sideburn length? Right here at the bottom of the ear. That's just what somebody told me once. Is everything's like right there. I think that's like the Captain Kirk sideburn regulation too. Actually, they have to come out a little bit more for Kirk. um, Vince, Charlie Christian. Okay, yeah, I thought that's what you meant. Yeah, probably him and Django Reinhardt and stuff like that. Vince Gill. Okay, yeah. Um, Not really. I don't really have too much of an influence from him. Is that the Eagles? Uh, who is that? Not sure. Yeah, yeah, the Eagles. Oh, of course, Jack Smith and Rockabilly Planet. That's those local guys. Yeah, Memphis Rockabilly, both bands. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him perform. Well, I saw videos. No, I did see him. I did see Jack perform once at up here at the Nickinees. Yeah. Yeah, that Charlie Christian's more of an indirect player because I haven't really haven't really done any deep dives with it, and you know I've been so busy I haven't had too much of a chance to really just practice and go back and say put everything aside and just go back to the drawing board and kind of just learn stuff you never thought you would want to, or just haven't had the time to do it, which is mostly the case, and just go back and woodshed some old Charlie Christian riffs and stuff like that. And I have a stack of guitar books that I've never gone through, and I'll every time I do it, I'm always uh, pleasantly surprised with just new things that I come up with. And so you'll play it at first just like it's written, and then you'll say, oh, this kind of sounds like this or that or whatever, and you'll make the connection between what you've read and what you're playing, and then you can kind of come up with your own thing, and it adds a whole new um, uh, library of riffs and ideas that you can throw into your soloing. And I did that recently. I was at playing in a with one of my books, and they were just going over this. It was basically a 1-4-5, but they were adding some substitutions into it. You know, and it would go right, something like that, or I think it actually went back to the 13th there, so it was very jazzy type stuff. So I took that and added in and was playing. How can I play something in like that in something we're already playing and not learning a whole other song or whatever? So we play Choo Choo Boogie live. Right. And in the solo, it's essentially just kind of a 1-4-5 chord progression. And so I throw those little chords in there just as a solo. I'll go around and I'll kind of sort of just play little jazz riffs and rock and roll riffs and toast on the saxophone solo that plays in the original. Right? So then I go and I flip to the rhythm pickup and throw these little, go to the 4, will diminish, back on the 1, but you're playing all these little substitutions in between there. And then you go to the turnaround. I go into this other little solo thing. But anyway, that right when I came back around to the 5, that's the end of that little jazz solo. Then I go back and just swing rhythms and things like that. And it builds the solo up and creates its own little pocket of music that's going on within the song. And it's not just random, solos all the time. How's the album coming along? Made a few strides in it recently. We got I've got a new original tune, 2 new original songs written, and so we're learning them right now. And I've got, how many more we have? 1, 2, 3. So I've got 3 new ones. No, 4 new ones, and they so now I have I want to say 2 or 3 more after that I have partially written but not finished. And so we're just rounding the bend, and then I'll start I've already got everything sort of not mixed but templated out, so, and we use the same studio with the same setup all the time. So we just go in there, knock the tunes out, I get the files, and then I can just drop everything right into the template and just release the tunes. I try not to think about it too much when it comes to mixing. If it sounds good, I'll mix it, take a day or so, go back and listen to it, see if I notice anything. Well, you can hear the taking chances on the channel. And if everything's going to kind of sound like that roughly. But yeah, so the new tune is a swinging rockabilly type song, so it's got this kind of rhythm to it. Got a upbeat type thing. and the other one's kind of a fast swing. Can't remember the chords now. I have to go back and look at it. Luckily, I write these things down. Do I take requests? Awesome axes in the back. Thank you. Yeah, if I know it, I can only do what I know. Well, look, you can't copyright chord progression, so. Only melody and lyrics. And even now they have that like term that they use in when they call it interpolation, which basically means stealing somebody else's melody. Any particular solos that made you really took your technique to the next level? Yeah, true melodies. Yeah, exactly. Which are fairly rare these days. Any solo? I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, there's always little spots throughout your playing your journey that you're going to find is going to take your playing to the next level. The one thing that comes to mind right off the bat is when I was learning Sleepwalk, the Setzer version. I there was the little riffs, the little whatever scale runs and stuff in there. That you know. That kind of stuff. Right. But any of that type of stuff, right? That sort of thing. That wasn't too bad, but then doing this. Right. That took a little while. Not to just learn the pattern. It was because my hand, the way I was playing at the time, I was playing like this and not really using my little finger all that much. And when you do a riff like that, that takes place over the course of 4 frets, in order to play it fast enough, you have to use all your fingers. So I had to not only get the muscle built up in the little finger, but also, instead of playing with my wrist twisted this way, I had to twist my wrist this way, play more parallel, proper playing, and then put my wrist under, if you need more leverage, just always shove your arm a little bit under the guitar a little bit. That will give you more leverage. So if you're playing like this, twist, and then push. And that will give you more leverage under the neck. And of course, they always try to say keep your thumb and fingers parallel under the neck like that, which is proper, and like that. But it's not always possible. And especially once you get up here anyway, this is in the way. So you can't do anything. You have to play like this. Right. The Red House. I don't know Red House. Oh, I didn't know that was a request. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I don't know that one. It's rockabilly. Rockabilly, swing, blues. Not as much blues, but mostly rockabilly and rock and roll, 50s, 60s. Some 40s, stuff like that. But I'm not a huge. I'm not a. I use the blues as a basis. It's always a foundation, of course, of everything, right? For roots music, but it's not. I don't know. I don't have a lot of like blues history, or of as much as I should probably. Yeah, basic. It's hours and hours of dedication. I remember playing when I did that. I remember sitting and at the time I was practicing about 8 or 9 hours a day. Didn't have a job. I was out of school. I was 18, so I didn't have anything else to do, and I was living with my parents at the time, and I just hammered away at that. And I figured, well, I don't have a job. I'm not in a band. I don't have anything going on right now. I started when I was 15, 16 years old and played as much as I could around everything I was doing and didn't really have much of a social life until until later. Um so and I just kept at it. Well, rockabilly is rooted in blues. I mean, it's definitely there. I've heard it. And I might even know the tune that you're talking about. I just don't know the name. Um but it is very rooted in blues. And I've listened to a lot of T-Bone Walker and a lot of B.B. King and Albert King, the three Kings, Albert King, Freddie King, B.B. King, um, Muddy Waters, uh, John Lee Hooker, Robert Johnson. And I mean, I listened to all this stuff. I just haven't gone into like a deep dive analysis of any of it, but I love it. More modern blues guy like Keb Mo, somebody like that. It's cool. Got to see him live once at House of Blues. It was just him and his guitar. Great, wonderful, great performance. Um, what gear are you using? Any pedals right now, or just in general? I don't use any pedals. I use well, one. I sometimes use a tremolo pedal, and that's about it. Other than that, I use the tape delay, the Space Echo 301 Space Echo, or um, a Mystery Brain pedal, maybe a reverb pedal. That's about it. Right now, I just have plugged into Pro Tools and just using my the plugins for the Bassman plugin, and a delay plugin. Dazed and Confused. I know. I used to know it. I know parts of it. But I don't remember it anymore. You gotta have distortion and stuff for that. It's been a long time since I played that. I did learn licks from it though. Like that's what I'm talking about with like learning different riffs. I'll throw in Jimmy Page licks all the time with playing rockabilly. I don't even know how he played it anymore, but what I've turned it into is, stuff like that, or we want the Zeppelin stuff. We throw in say when we do the meters, Sissy Strut, Jesus. In the middle of that, I'll go into a solo because it's just over one chord, right? I'll go into and it's fun. I know that's not in the original key, I think. I don't even play it in C so much now, I forgot how to do it. Whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah. So I learned a lot of those different types of riffs like that, and I can just swing it because I think it's straight, and he's just doing it really fast. So there's this one little move. And then if something's swinging, right? You're in A. And you can just keep it swinging. Whatever you want to do, and throw in those little riffs, you know. Catch you next week. It's late here in the UK. Take care, Richard. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out again. Yeah, we'll definitely do it again next week. Been crazy lately. Haven't been as consistent with the live streams, but I'm definitely going to be going forward. So, and this is great. Yeah, just I'll do a little lesson, talk about either a technique or whatever, and maybe learn a song if I don't have anything else to talk about. And then as you guys join in, we can answer questions, talk about whatever you want, and have some fun with it. Yeah, so those riffs, I think I got it from Dazed and Confused. It might have been from A Whole Lot of Love. I don't know. One of those tunes. So yeah, take a song, take a classic rock tune, what AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, whatever. Whatever your favorite band is, and go learn a riff, and then most of that stuff is straight eights. And so if you're playing rockabilly, I would just take those ideas and just swing them and see if it worked. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't, and you end up having to change the riff a little bit, but that's fine. You change the riff, and then and you want to anyway, and it kind of becomes your own sort of thing. But you can get inspiration from it, is my point. If you feel stuck in your ideas. And it's just one other thing to build on top of what you've got to create a better, a larger riff and lick repertoire. All right. Well, we've been going for quite a bit, going for a little over 2 hours. This is I haven't done a stream this long in a while, but it's been fun. So I do have a bunch of work that I have to get to, so I'm gonna have to cut it for now. But until next time, next week, same time, around 4 o'clock, we'll do it again. Thank you guys for joining in to the live stream. Thank you guys for watching the videos, for subscribing to the channel. And of course, those of you who are YouTube members, Patreon members, on all of that, you can also check out the Patreon has a couple of you can I have the tablature for free on the description box in every video if it has tablature included, and that's on the TeleDynes website. You can also go to the Patreon, and if you want to, it's $3. You can buy like not only the tablature, but you also get the Guitar Pro file as well as the finale file and the PDF and a MIDI file as well. So you can put it in and mess around with it and slow it down, whatever, if it helps you. And you can also join the Patreon for free as well. So that way you can. I'm going to start putting some more videos up there, especially addendums to if I get something wrong or there's some glaring problem in a video, or I just want to add a little bit more to it that I just didn't quite fit in the video. I can put that stuff on Patreon for you. That's real quick, like it's only 30 seconds or a minute. Instead of making a video and putting it on YouTube, I'll put it on Patreon, but it'll be free. I'm not going to charge anybody for that. So it'll just be an addendum to what's already available on YouTube. So going to get to some editing. And until next time, have a good one. We'll see you guys then.